Most of the news surrounding the future of The Witcher has been about how disappointed we all are that Henry Cavill is leaving the series, and we still don't know how they plan to implement the recast. But now that the first 5 episodes of season 3 are out, it is getting destroyed by upset Cavill and Witcher fans who are upset with how mediocre it really is. I have a few different things that I want to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. Now, I wanted to start off with this Forbes article that kind of wraps up their thoughts on it, but I do generally agree with it. It says The Witcher Season 3 Part 1 review starts strong, fizzles out, crashes, and burns. Now, this is the only problem that I'll say I'll have with this kind of mini review. I don't really think it starts off all that strong. It starts off very similarly to the beginning of season 2, which was, of course, Geralt just going around hunting monsters. Just lots of almost filler content, I'd call it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it just felt kind of hollow. Like they didn't want to get to the meat of the story yet, but they also wanted to add in a Witcher feel to it. So they're like, oh, let's just start off the episode, the first at least episode and a half, with, him just kind of going places. It says, though, I sometimes ponder what an extraordinary show Netflix could have had with The Witcher if the streaming giant hadn't given its production over to people who actually knew what they were doing and had the same deep love for the source material as star Henry Cavill. This is what is so sad, is that Henry Cavill will no longer be part of a show that he is keeping together. He is the glue of this series. While yes, I do think some of the other actresses like Ciri and Yennefer's actresses are pretty solid in this series, it's not going to be the same without Henry Cavill, and he on set has been called like a Witcher Bible. He's constantly quoting the books, trying to add in, things that fans will love, and with him gone, I just think that the show is going to be extremely hollow. It says Cavill, who made his way to these stories first by way of the video games, then the books, like so many fans, is leaving the show after season 3. We still do not know how they are going to implement this recast. I personally think it's going to be something very stupid, like, his face gets burnt or it gets messed up, and then Yennefer fixes it, but when she fixes it, it's not going to be Henry Cavill, it's going to be Liam Hemsworth, because they're not saying he is a different Witcher, they are saying he is Geralt, so it is a full recast. It says season 3 starts off with Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri on the run, of course, like I said, moving from house to house and hiding before being snuffed out by their various pursuers. It just kind of felt like filler content. Geralt and Yen are still not on speaking terms, the Witcher having not yet forgiven her for her betrayal in season 2. That was a very disappointing arc, in my opinion, in season 2, was the whole she steals Ciri and betrays Geralt. It just didn't make a lot of sense to Yen's character, but it says the good news is that Yen is back to her old self, closer to the actual character she's based on, and Cavill as Geralt is as terrific as ever. Alan's Ciri is also enjoyable, but whoever did her makeup did too much. Yeah. It definitely looks like she has 2023 girl makeup. It's very loud, and I personally am still disappointed that they didn't keep her look from season 1 with the bleached eyebrows, really highlighting her pale skin. I just feel like they could have made her look a little bit better, but it's okay. It says the good is Cavill and Charlotta were the highlights of the season, though I am sad that season 2 so badly disrupted their arc. I like Joey Beatty as Jaskier, and he and Ciri have a wonderful scene where they narrate what Geralt and Yen are saying to one another from afar. Truly one of the most endearing scenes in the entire series. I love Jaskier and Ciri's small but impactful interactions. I do think that Joey Beatty is a very good Yaskir. Oh, but they did him dirty this season. The wig is awful, the makeup is bad, and one of the biggest issues I have with this series is the costumes. They look so awful. Half the time, yeah, this image is perfect to use as an example. Geralt looks like he's wearing a comforter. Like, I could find that print at a grandmother's house. And the other half of the time, you see someone like Yennefer wearing something that she looks like she got at Hot Topic and then Old Navy. It's just such a bizarre set of costumes. It makes no sense. None of them feel cohesive. The only character that is consistently well dressed is Geralt, except for this scene. Let's pretend that this scene right here doesn't exist. When he's actually in his Witcher gear, his fighting gear, he looks awesome. Now they get into the bad, saying that we'll have to break this up into subsections. In any case, what goes very wrong here is the flashbacks repeat a ton of footage and dialogue each time. Instead of just showing us one line to let us know that we're back at that particular moment, they play out entire series over and over again. It's jarring, baffling, and at one point I quite literally wondered if the episode had just started over by mistake. That, in my opinion, this is just truly awful editing. I do think that structure is also bad. I personally do not like seeing a ton of flashback scenes, especially in a show like this. I don't think they're necessary. I think, as it says, like, one line is fine, but when you're showing almost a whole scene, it just feels like you didn't know what to put in an episode, and you needed to add, 3 more minutes to it, so you were like, oh, let's add 3 flashbacks in this episode. It says the elves are a problem. I despise how they portray the elves in this. They're literally just humans with pointy ears. That's it. Perhaps the most atrocious elves I've seen in any TV show or movie. Even the Rings of Power at least tried to make elves a little bit different from the humans, even if it failed miserably. I do agree the elves in this are even worse than in the Rings of Power, and of course everyone is still pretty upset over the fact that they did decide to race swap elves. Elves are no longer, white individuals. They did cast people of color to play these characters, which, again, is not source material accurate, but they did it anyway. But it's not like they did these characters justice. They're just kind of, putting pointy ears on them, and that's really the only difference. Their clothes don't look very different. They don't talk differently. They don't act differently. They don't even show a set of, different customs when they're greeting people. It's just very bizarre, very rushed. These people do not know The Witcher and do not care about the material at all. Along the same lines, why are so many sorceresses not stunning beauties now? It's like the producers decided that they needed to show less traditional versions of beauty, a more diverse range of beauty, but that is important. The sorceresses are supposed to be Anya beautiful for a reason. Yes, they are supposed to beguile kings. They are supposed to seduce their foes and their enemies, and their beauty is actually a way that people end up trusting them. So they completely threw that away in order to, as it says, have a diverse range of what these producers believe is beauty. And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't make sense. The writing is also a problem. Way too many modern turns of phrase. I don't mind some of this, but it's constant and getting worse. And then there are the weird choices like Geralt not killing one of the bad guys he's been trying to kill for no reason whatsoever. And the editing in this is also terrible. I think that the CGI has gotten a little bit better in every season, but unfortunately they're still not at the point that I would like them to be at. Some of the editing, like the camera angles, are awful. The way that they try to change scenes around and make them look unique, it's kind of hard to explain, just looks very bizarre. I just do not think these people know what they're doing, but people obviously agree with all of these sentiments, because right now, over on Rotten Tomatoes, it is currently sitting at a 44%, which is abysmal, a 2.7 out of 5. And of course, there are some people here who are talking about, I gave it a 1 star because I'm very upset that they're getting rid of Cavill next season, but most people are saying things like, this is what happens when you hire writers that are complete morons. You had a simple job to turn the books into a show and you fucked it up. Far away from the books, it's over. Everything is very bad, starting from the selection of new actors and ending with the script. I found season 3 part 1 to be very bad. Don't think I'll watch part 2, and this is another issue entirely. The fact that there are 5 episodes out right now, and in a month they're going to release the other 3. It's a way to get people to, up their subscriptions, to watch more content for the next month and then watch The Witcher in a month. I don't like this split personally, but I think they're doing it at this point to milk Witcher fans because they know people are upset. They know that their viewership is going to tank going into season 4 without Henry Cavill, and it's like they're just trying to get as many views as possible to hopefully get renewed for another season after season 4. They said that they're doing season 5, but if it goes poorly, I just don't know if I see that happening. Season 1 was amazing. The writers need to go back and watch that and the actual gameplay before continuing the writing of season 3 because it is awful. Season 2 was tolerable. I've personally found enjoyment in the first and the second season, even though they were not completely book accurate. Season 1 did feel like The Witcher. Season 2 definitely went away from that a little bit, and of course the giant arc with Yen and Geralt was very bizarre, but I still found enjoyment in those seasons. I still found things to look at and go, wow, that was really good. Like some of the acting. The acting is almost consistently very good with the main, trio. But it's just the rest of the show that is really disappointing, and clearly season 3 is just not doing it for Witcher fans. Again, sitting at a 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. I do think it's going to continue to drop, and in a month when we finally see the ending of this season, I think that people are going to be furious. I don't think that it's going to go over well, and I think that this recast is just truly going to kill this already mediocre series. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.